And I'd be curious to see now with Hacker working with Irma if he's able to make those opportunities happen.
Well, Penguin, it is finally time. I get to christen my first draft of LPL Summer Split 2021, and we are already neck deep into it, my man. UP, they're on the blue side. RW on the red. We're going to have Viego, Karma, and Lucian banned away by Ultra Prime. Rogue Warriors take away that tried and true Thresh. The Varus with some long-range poke. And the Senna to finalize our bans.
Well, this is huge, actually, because we're actually seeing some of the top lane picks that we talked about. Renekton, the Lee Sin, all these different people like that. These guys, and the Nocturne as well. I've been told by production I do need to solo cast just for a little bit. Not quite sure what's up with Lennon's side of the thing, but I will continue on as well as I possibly can. But Nocturne now locked in. This is something that we have seen such a high presence on. We mentioned it in the A block, and I'd be curious now to see if that goes to jungle, might go to ZS. Hell, it could even go to Irma if they really want to go for that kind of crazy Karthus combination. But now you've left open the door for Rogue Warriors. They can pick up themselves this bot lane. They can go with the Ezreal. They might even look to go for the support here if they so choose. But very, very early on in this draft. But they know the Nocturne's locked in. It's all about these flexes. And again, the big thing, there it is. I knew they were going to go for it. He can't leave this big crocodile up. He has to be taken away very, very soon. If you give them Nocturne, Renekton, and even a Lee Sin, I don't think you'd go with those three personally, but you could if you really wanted to, and that's just asking for trouble. And now we'll see what they want to go for on the side of Ultra Prime. Set, another very, very good flex pick. We still do not have Hex Flash, but it will still be very, very strong into the mid or top side. So curious to see now where Ultra Prime do stick that one. They might just lock in their jungler here. I wouldn't mind actually seeing them go towards like the Rumble, maybe even, you know, the Nidalee, if they really want to try and deny the Nidalee Renekton combination. There's a lot of things they can go for here on the side of Ultra Prime. It's going to be a bit of an interesting one, but no, they're actually going to go with the Kai'Sa. They do not want their ADC pool to get pinched anymore. And what do Rogue Warriors want to reply with? That is the question. I'm going to wait until I know for a fact if we have my good caster Mazel back, but we'll wait to see how I get them go ahead from production. But Udyr locked in here for Rogue Warriors. That is a pretty honestly, I wouldn't say it puts them in a hole, but it definitely kind of feels like that Renekton is now going up towards that top side with the... It can still go mid, but very hard to find AP mid laner or AP top laners that would work into, you know, something like a Nocturne or a Set. So I would be very surprised to see that one going for it. Probably going to see Forge on something like the Orianna or the Victor just to make sure they have a balanced team composition. But these picks are just all over the place right now. You can see the Lilia banned away. We can see now what Ultra Prime wants to ban. I imagine we're going to see a hell of a lot of support bans or maybe even mid lane bans coming in from Ultra Prime, whereas the jungle bans will be the ones hit by Rogue Warriors. Give us all a breath. How you doing, chat? How you doing, Dom? Actually, I don't know if Dom is co-streaming. He might be. Oh, could get him on. We could totally get him on. That would be cool. Get Dom on to be my co-caster if Mazel can't get back on. Let me know. Hit me up, Dom. Let me know what you feel. But I'm going to quickly come back to these bans that are coming in. We do see the 3 mid lane bans of Twisted Fate, Akali, and LeBlanc. A lot of the AP people that we've been seeing pretty much throughout all taken away. And they're going to leave that last final pick here for Rogue Warriors. They still have the flex. They can still chuck something into the top side. Have yet to see the Rumble. Rumble yet to be locked in by either side. And I really feel like Ultra Prime, they could go for the Rumble here. It would make so much sense with their composition. It would, you know, the Set Rumble combination is something that makes, you know, is such a potent and an incredibly powerful combo. You get them with the face breaker, you get them with the, you can put them into position with the showstopper. It is something that has been just tried and tested throughout all regions and really, really does work. There it is. Thank you very much, Ultra Prime. My knowledge is still very much basic, but basic enough to get me through. As we can see now, what do they want to go as their final pick? They have got plenty of supports to choose from. The Alistar's still there. Thresh is gone. You've got a Shousey was very, very strong on that. You kind of just have to ban that away from him. It's kind of a staple of his champion pool. Galio would work. It would pretty much just solidify this ultra dive comp that they've built up for themselves. They are going to go with the Rel. Still very similar situation. You're going for the Ultra Dive Wombo combo here. You jump in with the Set, the Nocturne, the Rel. You drop down the Equalizer. The Kaisa picks off people on the backside. And everyone's just kind of running into you. It's still a good situation for the side of Rogue Warriors, because if they can keep Zhong Wuji safe, if they can keep him away from everyone, and Forge as well on the backside, and they have everyone running into them, Udyr loves that. Renekton loves that. Leona loves that. And if they lock in this Gwen loves that too. So a lot of kind of interesting concepts here coming out from the Ultra Prime roster versus Rogue Warriors. The Ultra Prime, very basic kind of setup. They want to go in, they want to dive, they want to be jumping on your face, they want to be all times on top of you, whereas Rogue Warriors, they have a little bit more of a standard setup. They're looking for flanks with the Renekton, they may look for picks with the Gwen and the Udyr, but in terms of a team fight, they've got themselves set up to be able to kind of kite this one out, just poke out with the Ezreal in those later game skirmishes. I actually completely forgot about the Gwen that could go into the top side, and I do apologize for that one there. As we can see now that all teams locked and loaded. I'm not exactly sure what is the story with Mazel just as of yet, but do bear with us. I will solo cast for as long as I need to. But yeah, again, more and more coming into this kind of, you know, setup that I honestly do prefer Ultra Prime's draft. I think Ultra Prime have built themselves up pretty much the OPs. In fairness, a hell of a lot of them were open. Lee Sin didn't get picked or banned, which was a curious one for me, but they gained everything. They have the Set Rumble combination, the Nocturne for backline access to help set up the Kaisa as well. You know, the Rel, a fantastic team fighter, and I think if Ultra Prime can get their foot forward, if they can move on into an advantage in the early game, it will be very, very difficult for the side of Rogue Warriors to really get going. But conversely, if you can keep this Renekton going, if he can get roaming around, if he can kind of create that pressure in the side lanes with the Udyr that's going to have such a fast clear and be so prominent in those side lanes, it will be very, very difficult to try and, you know, keep that one down as well. So both teams looking to kind of snowball. Conqueror is our rune of the day. It's going to be a Dark Harvest there for the Rumble, going towards the Night Harvester build. Can't see it go with the Riftmaker and the Conqueror build sometimes, if you're really far ahead and you just kind of snowball out of control. But we are on to the Rift, and we are going to be seeing game one of this best of three between Ultra Prime and Rogue Warriors. And then we'll take a drink and leave y'all to a little bit of silence and Giles. A little bit of wards popped down onto the red side of Ultra Prime, but they know that it was popped down because they've got themselves their own ward as well. So if Hacker's smart, he will probably look to try and just avoid that vision, as we have a quick look at the runes and mastery. Zombie ward there for Udyr. I like that, actually. I think it's a really nice way of kind of doing it. Gives you extra bit of vision and, you know, kind of extra control, especially when you know you're against a jungler that has a similar clear to you. For Rogue Warriors, they really do need a win. Like I don't want to go too much onto it because it doesn't mean a huge amount in the grand scheme of things, but it was just a bit of a disappointing performance from them against FBX. Now, it is FBX, one of our top two teams from spring. As we look at 8917 taking a hell of a lot of damage from ZS, who's had a pretty damn good time so far. He's actually had some pretty good performances, I must admit. Really kind of working well with the Gnar and the Set. Even though they have lost all their series, it has looked very positive for him. So we can see now Irma roaming up, just checking to see if those chickens are being fried. They are, in fact, and then now knows where the enemy jungler is. So Irma going to use that Dustbringer to try and just push forward with that passive and keep this Renekton as under tower as possible. And it's pretty easy for the Renekton to kind of sustain off of this. It is hard for him to either of these champions to really get a huge advantage. It should just be Renekton getting pushed in, then pushing back, Nocturne looking for roams. Nothing too untoward, if you will, as we wait to see now where the first real engagement comes from. And waiting to see now what they want to go for. If I was either of these teams, I definitely obviously looking towards Hacker and ZS in this top side. They have got an Ignite onto ZS. I'm actually really not a fan of that at all. Like, your flash on the face breaker is so powerful, but they're gonna go for the dive anyway. You can see now 8917 does pop the miss, sees if he can keep himself alive, does have himself a little bit of a shield. The last little tick of damage will do it. I guess the ignite was enough. ZS picks up first blood for Ultra Prime, but I guess that's why you take that little summoner there. It kind of comes out trumps for them in the meantime. But for those, later on, it's I actually only just noticed as well, 8917 taking the barrier up into the top side. I was wondering how he got that random shield that kind of get popped up. But yeah, we'll see if this ignite is enough to kind of create much of a snowball, or if we will not have this, kind of lack of engage, and, or the lack of follow-up engage when you see the likes of Irma and SMLZ jumping onto that backside with Shousey. So curious to see how that one does develop. Hacker now with the advantage very much in this top wave, and it is pushing into him as well. So it's going to be very difficult for 8917. It's actually Hacker who's just found himself. They're going to go for a repeat gank. They know there's no teleport. It's a tilt-a-port. This is how they call it. It's a tilt-a-port. You let them teleport back to the wave and then immediately gank them again. And oh no, 8917, you don't even know what's going to happen and you're already dead. You don't even know it. And oh, it's just nothing he can do. Hacker gets his share of that particular kill. And this is Rogue Warriors off to a horrendous start. This is going to be a rough one. They need Forge to get out of this lane. They need him to try and start, influencing the side lanes, top or bot. Probably bot, to be perfectly honest, when you have a Leona and an Ezreal with Ice Coke and try and, put out these fires that are currently going, because they're 1,000 gold lead of 5 minutes. But Ice Coke now recognizing that he's got a bit of free time to be able to push down towards this bot side. Just as I say, he would like to try and set up something here. It looks like he's going to sneak himself into that bush. And as you can see now, flash forward. Chow does jump in. The cleanse has been used by SMLZ. Still has his flash available to him. TP going to be committed to flash forward. They do get the attract repel to try and stop him, but SMLZ is the first one to fall. Now, ZS jumps in, and ZS in a lot of trouble. It's a double kill. Oh, God, what is happening? This really is a battle of the bottoms as it comes in. Ultra Prime lose 2 kills. They lose the advantage they garnered, and a lot of free time now going to Gwen on the top side to mitigate all of that beautiful work they had achieved. Oh man, this one's going to be a fiesta. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. This one is going to be fun. It is going to be a very, very fun game. As we can see here, just a good engage there from Chocho, just to jump straight in on top of the Leona. Zhang Wuji jumps in as well. Still has all his summoners. Very, very safe to go aggressive on that. And then the TP response here just from the Renekton, knowing that they have got the advantage, and Hacker wasn't there. So very difficult to really make anything work. And Irma had already kind of reset. He hadn't reset yet, so he was waiting to get his Iron Spark, and I do believe that Mazel, I believe you're back with me, my friend.
I am. I've been watching the craziness. I've been biting my tongue the whole time. I'm so sorry, Penguin, but I believe that we are good to go now.
Not at all.
We're watching some League of Legends unfold in front of us.
You can
wonderful
keep
casting,
for a
by
bit.
the way. Yeah, I was gonna say, go ahead, take some drinks. Put up your feet a little bit, rest a while, because we're gonna be taking a dive into this game, and we're gonna need those vocal cords of yours very, very nicely throughout the rest of this one. But as we see, a little chaos early on, gonna lull out for just a little bit longer. But I want to see if we're gonna get some more top lane action. Ice Coke was hovering near, and ZS was in a bit of a predicament there, but nothing's going to come of it. Ice Coke, very indecisive here. Doesn't know if he wants to commit to that. Although Hacker is here, he's going to make the preemptive play, walk straight into Ice Coke. He's going to walk, bear slap him, gets the Phoenix burn off on him as well, but Hacker wins out on that trade, and now Irma's roaming up as well.
Yeah, honestly, this was just Ice Coke basically saying, I'm protecting 8917. He knew that the side of Ultra Prime were going to look to try and dive onto it. They know that Irma's roaming up as well. So I actually really like that positioning there from Ice Coke, just basically saying, 8917, we've been given a bone in bot side. We've been giving you time and obviously a bit of gold back into our, kind of jungler's pocket. And our jungler is our point of pressure right now. He's ahead. He is the one that has the camp lead and the kill lead in this matchup. So they want to make sure that this Gwen can just get to those 1 to 2 items. items.
Yeah, you have to hit those spikes, especially on Gwen, and then get active, I feel like, at least from what I've been seeing. I will see how that kind of works out, though, because I think that top lane matchup is going to be very indicative of like where the pressure is going to be on the map. But I am looking around this bottom side of the map. You're getting a lot of at least control, vision control, map control around here for Rogue Warriors, and Icecoke is just transitioning the power that, at least the defensive power that he was using towards the top lane, now towards this bot side of the map.
Yeah, and honestly, this is exactly what Rogue Warriors need to do. They know that the Udyr is going to be incredibly powerful, incredibly fast, and just kind of use the pressure that they have been able to kind of garner in that bot side to be able to take objectives like this dragon. And then you'll obviously on the side of Ultra Prime, they're going to try and swap it for a little bit of gold in the meantime. But yeah, Rogue Warriors, they're going to be first ones on the rotation, so they actually might look to try and just completely stop this trade.
They could. Icecoke already on his way. Riftherald's still pretty heavy in health here, and it does look like they're going to get a little true shot barrage across the bow here to start it off. But Icecoke and Forge have made it here in time. Equalizer comes out from Hacker, though, to just get some extra AoE, some spacing down. But Rogue Warriors want to go for the fight. The flashes are already coming out, and look who is caught. It is unfortunately ZS just gets burned down by 5 members. Count it again, Penguin. 5 members in front of the Rift Herald, and Rogue Warriors are taking everything right now.
There's no need for ZS to die there. Like, you know that you've obviously made the call to keep SMLZ into the bot lane. You need to back up. You know you're going to be 5v4 at best. It was a 5v3 at worst, and that's just a bit, you lose flash off Hacker, you kind of lose the Rift Herald, and you lose a kill, and this is kind of the small little increments of mistakes that I was really hoping we wouldn't be seeing from Ultra Prime after such a fantastic start.
Yeah, exactly that, and that's what I wanted to kind of dive into a little bit more, is like the strong early starts, that communication, the map movement has been so good, and that is something that, there were slight little mistakes, especially going into the last couple games they've had, where those series can look completely different off the back of just a few different decisions. And early on, I wanted to see Ultra Prime take control. I wanted to see them use the strength that we've seen them have against some of these top teams and press it onto Rogue Warriors, but Rogue Warriors have been able to take all of that and dish it right back to them.
Honestly, it's such a fantastic thing to see from Rogue Warriors. They didn't panic. They just kept themselves, saying, look, we can do this. We know we're not going to be super far behind. And I mentioned it, earlier, is that I really don't like this flashless, set top. The Ignite was fine to get that early first blood. That's totally fine. But your job isn't to kill everyone in the late stages or the mid to late game team fights. Your job is to engage, to be the facilitator for Irma and for SMLZ to be able to jump onto these back lines. And I just don't like this kind of lane prowess they're picking up. And we'll see if it does end up kind of, biting them a little bit in the butt later on. But right now, Ultra Prime, they're going to be equal on gold, so not the worst thing in the world. There's still a Rift Herald and an Ocean Drake in the back pocket of Rogue Warriors. They just need to try and find an advantage somewhere else.
All right, Penguin, the advantage comes here for Ultra Prime. Hacker is now transitioning here to try and get SMLZ ahead, and that's what I love to see. We've talked it up. Talked SMLZ up about the past, about trying to bring back some of that good feeling, and Hacker knows now that the top side is going the way that it's going against the Gwen, you've got to find your hyper carry. You've got to find the gold onto the right members, and SMLZ is definitely that person.
Yeah, but Rogue Warriors wise to the trick, saying, you're pushing this up, acting aggressive, and clearing a hell of a lot of vision, and that's just going to mean 3 plates go over to the side of Rogue Warriors into the mid lane. They utilize the Rift Herald, very nicely done there, and 2 minutes until that dragon spawns, we're not really going to see much in terms of aggression. I think both teams are going to be feeling pretty okay with just kind of farming up until they really have those, first item breakpoints.
Yeah, those first items, even the second items, it's always fun to think about the chaos that can ensue once you do see those come along, but especially when we're looking at 8917, right? You've got to get that strength on the Gwen, because we have seen Gwens be lackluster. We have seen Gwens take L's, Penguin, and even if it's this strong champion, even if it's this mainstay right now, at least in the current meta, you can still find ways to oppress it, at least finding advantages against it. And one thing I'm a little worried about, if Ultra Prime are going to focus down towards that bot side or towards that mid, you are leaving 8917 to just get that free farm, just get that lane presence for the Gwen and get those items that we're talking about for the breakpoints.
Yeah, and the fact that ZS was 30 CS ahead at some point and is now effectively behind in CS, has picked up a stride breaker, so has got his first item breakpoint, but this is, you know, a little scary if you're on the side of Ultra Prime. Like, ZS should be, like I suppose the best way I could put it, 8917 shouldn't even be anywhere near a first item. Shouldn't even be close to any kind of Rift Maker. But, you know, we'll see how that one kind of, you know, ends up kind of going for them. But we do see the stride breakers for both the Nocturne and, of course, the Set, and the Kraken Slayer here for the side of Ultra Prime. So they're in a very powerful position to be able to kind of stop these early dragon stacking.
Yep, and what we were kind of looking at, that early advantage for either of these teams, where you do see that control come through. You start to see kind of the inner workings of how the teams communicate, how those map rotations work out. And right now it feels like both teams are just trying to find things, but they don't want to fully commit. They don't want to go all the way in. They're trying to bide some time in different places. But now we're getting Hackers starting up the Infernal Dragon. This will be the second dragon of the game. First for Ultra Prime, they can take it, but Rogue Warriors do not want to let that happen. They've got double TPs coming in. The dragon's already gone, but the fight's going to continue. They have already gone down to Ice Coke, but Ice Coke gets out safety, and there's still damage to be done. ZS is making huge waves, but is it going to be enough? Look at 8917, exactly who we talked about. Look at the damage coming through, and that will be huge, and Irma goes down.
Rogue Warriors had no right playing and fighting in that team fight. They were down on items. They didn't have position. The paranoia came down. Ultra Prime with just some really questionable calls to take on the fight. You're putting everything onto Ice Coke to try and burn him down. He is not the priority. He is a tank. He can just sustain for days with his Frostfire Gauntlet. We have a look at the replay here. Like, you got the dragon. You don't need to take this fight if you're Ultra Prime. Even the Solar Flare and the True Shot Barrage are used, but they just use everything onto a tank, and now there's just nothing left in the tank for them to be able to take down these carries.
Yep, and you see the amount of absorption of damage that 8917 was able to do in the middle of 4 members right there of Ultra Prime feels really good on the Gwen, and especially when you're looking at those fights and you see that already you're getting that much value out of the pick, out of the abilities, out of the movements here for Rogue Warriors, and they're up 5-2. They have a 2,000 gold lead just about, and they just need to find ways to incrementally increase that gold lead for themselves.
Yeah, really, you know, it's kind of bad money after bad, I suppose, when you're, you know, sunken cost fallacy. You've already invested so much, you have to just keep going for it for Ultra Prime. But they're not out just yet. They did catch the dragon, so they have stopped that early, you know, Dragon Soul from being picked up. He's a Cloud Soul, so not the most impactful in terms of the, you know, combat power, but will help out the likes of Hacker and ZS to be able to kind of set themselves up, but is traded on the other side for a Rift Herald. So right now, it is just kind of about stemming the bleeding. It's about, you know, stopping the amount of gold that you're letting go over to the side of Rogue Warriors, and just trying to find your footing back in this game for Ultra Prime, because right now they just seem to be, like, for lack of a better term, they seem to be panicking a bit.
Yeah, and Forge is now transitioning to his top side. He's going to take the outer tower, so that's now 2 towers to the 1 for Ultra Prime. And Rogue Warriors, as you just said, have that Rift Herald. You got to think it's going to go towards bot. Could go other places, but you still got time. And that also worries me for Ultra Prime, right? Because you got to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs. All right, where are we going? Where is this Rift Herald going to go? Where are they trying to play? And it leaves those decisions a little bit worse for wear.
We'll see now. For Rogue Warriors, you're very happy with the state of the game right now. You've got your Gore Drinker onto your, you know, your Renekton. You've the Rift Maker onto Gwen, who is now 25 CS up. Again, I don't know how this is happening. I don't know how ZS went from 30 CS up to 20 CS down, but, you know, this is kind of, you know, totally fine for the side of Rogue Warriors. You're very safe, you're very comfortable, and the Ezreal's just picked up the Divine Sunderer. So right now, you're probably just going to wait. You don't probably even need to fight at the next dragon unless you really feel like you know, have an advantage, and they can just continue to just farm up and make it so that it's not as bad for them. But might see a little bit of engagement spot side. Needlework
actually came out there from 8917. I think they realized that with the collapse, you know, they need to make a move if, you know, ZS was going to continue to move forward on 8917. Luckily, they pull off, so Rogue Warriors is able to breathe for a moment. But now you have Ultra Prime trying to set up this mid lane for themselves, trying to get that paranoia going for Irma, but just can't find it because of the defensive play coming out from Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, and it's just good respect from Rogue Warriors. They recognize that Irma has been missing. They don't have a full vision onto where he is. Of course, has a level 11 now on the ultimate, or level 2 on the ultimate, so has a little bit of extra range. And this is a kind of the problem you have when you're on a kind of such a dive heavy comp as Ultra Prime, is that the only tower you've taken is bot tier 1. You need those towers to be down. Those tier 1 towers need to be taken down so damn early, because otherwise the map just becomes very claustrophobic almost. Becomes very easy for anyone on the side of Rogue Warriors to just back away, back up to their tower. They know they're safe from any kind of big engage as long as they're able to kind of have that little bit of safety.
And I'm going to go into a little bit of a dive here until we get this action going. I am not always the biggest fan of the Nocturnes coming through, because I feel like there's a point in the game where if you haven't gotten ahead, you're literally just a paranoia bot, and it just does not feel good. It's not exactly what I was looking for Irma. The team comp itself, you know, they have the great synergies, they have things that can go in, but you don't have that lead, and I feel like that leads to Nocturne being very, very hard to handle in these situations and hard to use.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it becomes a thing of, like, you look at the who will he be trying to jump on top of. It's really Zhang Wuji, you know, 8917 maybe, but like these are all players that can get away from the Nocturne very, very quickly. And not only that, but you know, generally speaking, when you have the Nocturne, you need a dive buddy. You need someone who help you, otherwise you're just going to go into your death. And Rogue Warriors, they don't even feel any pressure whatsoever. Ultra Prime have just been 100% kept to absolutely nothing, and we can see there the dragon being taken. They dropped the Rift Herald and bot side. They're just constantly keeping them on the back foot.
This is looking so good for Rogue Warriors. Honestly, I'm very, very happily surprised by the strength that we're seeing from Rogue Warriors around the map right now. Now they do actually not get that tower down there on the bot side. They almost did with the Rift Herald.
A stiff breeze.
Yeah, stiff breeze. Just a little whisper from Gwyn will do it, but it's going to take a little bit more time for that to happen. And with the wish to get that down the bot lane to open up that pressure for Rogue Warriors, yes, it's still slippery, but the tower is still there, right? It's still something to worry about for Rogue Warriors. So I'd say a little dub for Ultra Prime as they're trying to set themselves up for this later game push.
Gotta take any win you can at this point if you're on the side of Ultra Prime, but now you got 2 items onto Ice Coke. You know, this Udyr is going to be so tanky to be able to deal with these team fight threats. You know, SMLZ really can't go aggressive unless he knows that all the CC is effectively down. It's just such a difficult situation for them, and because you're so heavily reliant on the AD that you have built with the Nocturne, the set, and of course the Kai'Sa, you are going to kind of, you know, come into a little bit of a mid-game lull where your damage isn't going to be as effective until you hit those, you know, 3-item spikes, you know, for your AD carry effectively.
Yeah, and you're really looking at SMLZ right now, right? Like, you've got to have the damage coming out of the bot lane. You have to have your hyper carry online for Ultra Prime, and hasn't been able to get a lot of gold, right? There's been no real kills down there except for Zhang Wuji, and now that you get the tower down there for 8917, you get that much more pressure relief and that much more pressure to put on for Rogue Warriors, although ZS wants to have a little bit of say here against 8917, trying to take the set combo. He's getting very low, has the Haymaker, there's the Paranoia. The TP is already down though. 8917 goes down first. Irma is totally left out in the dust though. He's gonna go down eventually. ZS might go down too. No, the equalizer comes out, the flash from Ice Coke. The True Barrage. This is turning into a tussle here as Rogue Warriors are taking a couple members here. Forge trying to take that mantle, trying to put on the crown, gets himself a triple, but cannot take the rest of the members as SMLZ will pick up his first kill.
Fights over objectives, I sleep. Fights over literally absolutely nothing, real stuff. That's what you want to be seeing from LPL teams. This is a fight that just breaks out of nowhere. It's just ZS saying, I have this Ignite, I have to use it. And he tries to go toe-to-toe with a level ahead 8917, and it looks pretty good for the side of, you know, the Gwen. You can see the TP coming in and the Paranoia. This is the big issue you have now with the side of the set going into the Gwen. He cannot take that 1v1. He needs support on the back end, and Irma, I don't know how, but he just survives for so damn long. The equalizer enough to slow everybody down, the face breaker as well. But honestly, this is Forge as well, just going absolutely massive. We can see the power of this Renekton pick. It looks like it's fantastic for the side of Ultra Prime, and 1Q, 1 Gourd Drinker active later, he's back to almost full health, and he is just tearing through health bars.
That's why you see so many bans going to the Crocodilian's way in the meta worldwide right now, because he is just redonkulous when you get a couple items, when you get some of that lead. He's 4-1 now. It's going to be a very strong Crocodilian, and see if they can use that lead especially. We've already seen, Forge taking on the 1v5s apparently right there, trying to at least. And I do want to turn my attention though, after talking about Forge, seeing that strength coming through, I still feel like there's a little bit of pullback from Ultra Prime, right? Like the Irma paranoia right there kind of getting baited in by ZS. Not the greatest situation, but you're still getting the right members of the gold. You're getting SMLZ his first kill. You're still ramping up these items on this Kai'Sa, who is going to be your mainstay. That's who Ultra Prime have to focus on here.
Yeah, honestly, right now SMLZ is the carry. He's the kind of sole damage dealer as we come into the. Well, I won't say sole damage dealer, but definitely
yeah, there's some coming from other places, but.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like if SMLZ drops, like Hacker has his equalizer and his flame spitter, but after that, it's not really going to be enough consistent damage to burn down through the likes of Anudir or Renekton. As I say that, they're going to jump into the bot lane.
They're looking for 8917. They have had enough of this win, and Hacker is going to get the kill. Do Rogue Warriors want to follow us up? Solar Flare goes in. Hacker's getting very low, but can they get him? He goes gold at the last second. Oh, but here's Forge. There's the equalizer to trade back. Is the damage going to be enough? Big showstopper into it. Lots of damage from the Haymaker, and members are starting to drop for Rogue Warriors. Oh my God, Ultra Prime! But SMLZ will get traded down. That's an ace for Ultra Prime.
They get it, and it was just before the Dragons. They're able to equal that one up as well. That was so close, but the combination, that was key. The face breaker on top of the equalizer. We talked about this in pick and ban, or rather, I talked about this in pick and ban, but you can have a look at it here. Obviously, 8917 gets caught. They invest so much heavily onto him. They know they want to try and kill him off before this fight. It's what happens afterwards that really kind of sets up this fight. Great solar flare here from Chocho to set it up. It's Zanya's that keeps the time going, and you can see there they don't kill him in time to get the equalizer down. Now you'll see him going in with the showstopper and the face breaker. It keeps Forge on top of the equalizer. That is the difference in that team fight, and that is why Set Rumble is such a potent combination.
And honestly, I talked up SMLZ, but in that fight, Irmo is actually doing some serious work there. He's got 7 assists on the Nocturne, so maybe bringing up a little bit of the slack here for the rest of the team in those team fights. And now we are tied 10-10, Penguin. The lead, not much more than 1,000 for Rogue Warriors, and a re-energized Ultra Prime onto the Rift.
Yeah, really does feel like Ultra Prime have found a little bit of a step there, and this is what these two teams want to be doing, apparently. They just want to be looking for skirmishes. I do like the fact that Ultra Prime are making use out of the paranoia. They are pushing to try and make sure that they are getting the maximum amount of, I suppose, efficiency, if you like, out of that, semi-global. So right now, for the side of Rogue Warriors, you're just going to try and get Ezreal up to 3 items. You are going to try and get the 3rd item as well for on top of 8917. You are gonna. It's hard to say one outscales the other, but I do feel like Zhang Wuji will have just a much better time of putting out damage from a distance than, say, the likes of SMLZ. SMLZ needs to be quite close in order to make an impact.
He definitely does. And you saw in that last one, like, you're waiting to use the killer instinct so you know things are going to go your way. And even then, maybe not so much. But you are hitting that 3-item power spike on SMLZ. It's going to feel really good. Has the Lord Doms as well to go against these tankier members, this tankier squad that Rogue Warriors have. Because, even though Ezreal's an ADC, we all know what Ezreal's do now with the Divine Sunders and being able to keep that sustain going. So I really like to see this build coming out from SMLZ, but Rogue Warriors are looking for a fight. They are hungry. They've been spotted out. Xiaoxi just goes in with the equalizer under everybody, but Xiaoxi's down. There's the re-engage. Irma is onto the backline, but he's got all 5 members right on top of him. Flashes are coming out from Ultra Prime. They're scared, Penguin, but there's the showstopper stopping the show on top of the Haymaker. My goodness, ZS is going to get taken down, but my God, he bought so much time. They do get the trade. SMLZ will get another kill and the tower on top of it.
This is basically SMLZ versus Zhang Wuji. Whichever AD carry can stay alive the longest will end up winning the fight for their team. In that regard, you saw there Zhang Wuji got down to about a third of his HP and had to back away. We'll see how this one all kind of starts. It's actually Ultra Prime who are looking for this, and they still trade equally. So you can see there, they know what they want to go for. Xiaoxi jumps in, but nobody follows up. They're afraid of going too far deep, and then once the Nocturne actually commits, it's a little too late. Zhang Wuji is doing so much on the back side of this. Then you see the Showstopper going in with the Face Draker and the Haymaker. It does so much to just delay Forge, who has to pop the stopwatch. Doesn't quite get the kill there onto Irma, and that is what kind of saves the game here for ZS, or for Ultra Prime. ZS is really stepping forward, and it's someone that I did mention is having a fantastic start to the season despite the results for Ultra Prime.
And the damage, man, the Stride Breaker in with all the Showstopper damage on top of it, just the initial flat damage, like, oh my goodness, it was so nice. Yes, he died, but there was so much bot, as you were kind of alluding to, and this game is so neck and neck, as you said. Like, in these moments in between objectives, they're just looking for fights. They're trying to set up this objective vision control as well, and you've got about a minute until this next dragon. This will be sole point for one of these teams. I know we said that, you know, Wind Dragon is not, the Cloud Dragon is not going to be the most important, but I still think that map control, that objective control is important for the state of the game that we're in right now between these two teams.
It creates a timer, and I think that's the biggest important thing. But the IE has been finished up here now for SMLZ. You also have the Serelda's Grudge for Zhang Wuji, so he's going to be able to kite out a little bit better. Yeah. Also important to note that the Zhonya's has also been finished for 8917, so he is just good with the barrier, with the W, with the Zhonya. It's going to be so difficult to be able to actually lock down and kill. But if I'm on the side of Ultra Prime, I don't really care about this dragon in 30 seconds. I care about the Baron. The Baron is what's going to give them the biggest kind of, you know, set up to be able to push these waves. They might look to try and maybe just go for a fight before any of it kicks off.
They definitely are looking for it. The vision down towards this bot side indicates something, but they immediately see Rogue Warriors heading up that way, and they got to get some ground back in the mid lane to try to make sure that things aren't going to go too sideways for them, as Rogue Warriors are still positioned in front of the Baron, but it will be Ultra Prime who start up the Dragon with ZS and co. Now that Rogue Warriors are moving back down, they realize what's going on. The soul point is definitely going to go over to Ultra Prime, and you already see Rogue Warriors moving back towards that Baron. They were getting kind of pulled over the map. Now they just started up trying to bait the fight out of Ultra Prime here.
Yeah, I feel like Rogue Warriors, they really don't want to be kind of turning and burning off this dragon. They know that if they get caught by the Equalizer and then clumped up into one spot, they can't really do anything. As we can see, Rogue Warriors just trying to just bait in Ultra Prime. But Ultra Prime know they're not going to go for this. And ZS is in bot lane. ZS is like, cool, I'm just going to keep split pushing.
It's a little bit of indecision, I feel like, here from Rogue Warriors. They got caught. Irma, you're so close. But they see two members back. They immediately started the Baron. Look how low it's getting already. Rogue Warriors are mad dashing right now. They're T-Paying. They want the fight. Is the Baron going to go down? That's already gone to Hacker. How does the rest of the fight go? You got 8917 now into the fight. The rest of it, the needlework, the damage. The Rogue Warriors are streaming forward. And Irma will be the last one to go down after the fight. You may get the Baron, but only one member will survive with the purple coat.
Yeah, I just, that feels like such a weird setup there for the side of Ultra Prime. As you can see there, Ice Coke just being as annoying as possible onto ZS, making sure he can't go anywhere without being just straight up annoyed. But looking at how that Baron goes down, you use everything, the paranoia, the Equalizer to try and burn down this Baron. And with the death timers, honestly, Rogue Warriors, they might just look to try and maybe try and end the game. I don't think they'll have time to end it just yet, but they'll definitely get an inhibitor.
Ice Coke is one of the most annoying Udyrs I've ever seen. I just love that he's using all the speed just to go slap him once in the face and run away. It's great every single time. But as you said, they're able to get that top inhib. It means super means to the top lane for Ultra Prime, and something else they have to deal with on the map.
This is, you see how they all go for this. Like, the Equalizer's already been used. You are 4v5 at best because you do not have the TP coming in. It's so late, and that solar flare just stopping everyone from moving away. And this is just shooting fish in a barrel for the side of Rogue Warriors. It's just too easy for them to be able to kind of chuck in everything, all the different, AoE damage they have with the Renekton, with the Gwen. It's just too easy. And now they're coming out of that 3,000 gold lead. They didn't get the Baron, but they are in a little bit of a better spot than they were.
ADC's hitting 4 or 5 items at this point. You do have Zhong Wuji, who does have the Frozen Heart now as well, a little bit of tankiness, but it's 6-1-7 on the Ezreal. We're seeing the carry shine through here, and on the other side we had SMLZ sitting there 5-3-5, but has so much farm that he's almost a full item ahead of Zhong Wuji. So again, we're alluding to the fight of the ADCs. They matter. Where are they at in the fights? Are they getting picked off? And how are they approaching these big team fights?
Yeah, and honestly, it kind of feels like whoever gets caught out first loses. It feels like if ZS is able to get into position to start off a fight with a showstopper on top of an equalizer, then Rogue Warriors will lose. However, if Rogue Warriors can come in from a flank and catch someone else, on a bad rotation, then they're the ones that are able to kind of keep up the advantage. So right now, it's all about kind of just maintaining what you have. Equalizer just popped into the mid lane just to clear out that wave. Yeah, just keeps them going, and the cooldown is pretty damn low at this stage. He's actually just waiting for level 16 in the next few seconds, and should be easy enough for the side of Ultra Prime to be able to keep these waves at arm's length.
Yeah, and I really like that equalizer just to set up, because Irma is in the top lane, right? He does have the ultimate, he does have TP, but you don't necessarily want to burn those at this moment. You're just trying to get that wave pushing back out as best you can when you have super minions farming down, but really, Ultra Prime are just trying to buy time to let that pressure go down and be able to turn back into these fights. But right now, they're being aggressed on in mid lane by the Rogue Warriors, who want to take this tier 2 tower, but don't want to overcommit to it. And I think that's a good call at this point.
Yeah, still waiting on level 16 there for Hacker. Will be a pretty big upgrade to his ultimate and be able to kind of do a little bit more damage. You can see everyone just kind of setting up now, resetting themselves back. I believe SMLZ, yep, he's on full items. He's got his Rune's Hurricane. So again, it's gotta keep an eye out on these guys. If they're able to stay alive, SMLZ, even in an extended fight, will just shred through these health bars. He's full items, he's full crit. He's just gonna have so much.
He really is, and you're still waiting on that final tick for Zhong Wuji. Still, I still feel like Ezreal right now is so strong in the meta in general, but you're also seeing the strength for the Divine Sunder and things like that. So there's a little bit of difference there, but as you said, it's the key points to these fights. Who's getting caught? Who's getting outmaneuvered here? As we see both teams just butting right next to each other, 5v5s ready to go, but nobody wants to commit to it. You see the indecision here for both teams. Nobody really wants to fight, yet they're melee distance away from each other. But now ZS goes in, maybe overextends. He's gonna get the solar flare, but not gonna connect. Now the paranoia comes out for the follow-up, but they don't pull the trigger on that either. This is insane. You could literally cut the tension with a butter knife, and there's the engage. There's Shelton going in, the killer instinct, and the damage done by SMLZ, but they still have 4 members. Rogue Warriors are still strong. Look at SMLZ. He's going to go down to 8917, and the one that survives is Zhong Wuji and the rest of his team. 8917 Forge, and everybody are going to TP into the base. That is going to be it. Game number 1, a hectic one, but Rogue Warriors come out on top in dominant team fighting fashion. I absolutely love to see this coming out from Rogue Warriors in this series.
Yeah, and again, like we said, whoever was the AD carry to survive in the first skirmish was going to be the one to be able to come out on top, do the damage, and it's Zhong Wuji who's able to keep himself alive with that clutch stopwatch, able to keep all that damage away from him, and no one was able to get on top of him. For Rogue Warriors, it was a messy game, very, very much so, but for them, they will take that win, first one of the split, even within a series for them.
I absolutely love it. Feels really good for Rogue Warriors in general, but also even off the back of that kind of topsy-turvy crazy performance, like they still stuck it through and they finished the game, right? They finished the fight, and that's what I'm always looking for from these teams that are still trying to grow, still trying to find their legs, if you will, in the split. And for Ultra Prime, it's a bit of a disappointing start to the series, right? Like I had such high hopes for this team. They looked so good against some of the top teams, looking good. But this one, they look chaotic. They had a couple moments where they felt like they were starting to get some stable ground to stand on, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, like it really did feel like they had all the cards in their hand right off the bat in the early game. They got the 2 early kills. They were able to get the Gwen down to 0-2, 30 CS up, I believe, at some point, or at least at minimum 25, and it just fell apart. And again, Set isn't so. You don't pick Set to win the lane. You pick Set. Well, I suppose you do, depending if you're playing into mid lane. But you pick Set in terms of the later game. You pick him to be able to try and get those team fights sorted. And yes, ZS was able to get the showstoppers and the haymakers going for him, but wasn't quite able to position himself. Once he's in, he's in. You know, without that flash, it really does kind of leave him a sitting duck for the rest of the team fight. And
that's what I felt like was the key issue, at least for this one, is like, Ultra Prime, they definitely had the tools to go forward, right? You've got ZS just going all over the showstoppers. You got Irma following up the Paranoia. But every time it seemed like they were kind of just left out to dry. Like there was the one person making the crazy plays and it was insane, but it wasn't enough to take everything. And you see that gold graph, a little bit of a roller coaster as we were talking about earlier before the games, Penguin. But a 36-minute banger here for Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, honestly, and again, look at the damage dealt. It was Gwen and the Ezreal, and of course on the other side it was the kind of, you know, just SMLZ. Yes, you have Hacker doing a little bit there, but it's still not going to be huge compared to the, you know, the grand scheme of things. But I think for Ultra Prime, I don't mind the Nocturne, but I needed to be more proactive. Like the Irma Nocturne just didn't really get to leave lane. He was trying very much so to go up top side, but you could make things happen in bot lane. You know, we saw Forge was the one who, you know, rotated down the bot side, was the first one to get there and got a double kill. So like, or got a double kill for Ice Coke. So there's a lot of different small things about this, and just because something's OP doesn't mean it's OP for you, is probably the best way I can put it.
Better words never been said. But especially when you're looking into these kinds of picks and things. But I just have to wonder, like, where you go for it. Because I feel like there were moments when the Nocturne looked pretty good, right? But I still think it falls into that category of the Paranoia bot, you know, just having that. There were some strengths, but you saw the damage was very low and there was no real impact there. But if you can find an impact carry there to have that right next to the others, right? Like it would be so important and so crucial for them to get in the game too. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see a little bit of adaptation in the draft from Ultra Prime, a little bit of priority in the earlier game for themselves as well, and getting the movements down. But Penguin, we got to take a little break. We got to take a little breather before we get into game number 2. While we do that, go get some snacks, go get some drinks. Be right back here in just a few moments.